All right, so let's talk about what we were introduced to first in chapter number 5, Marcus to the rescue. But first we want to come over here and look at our verbs. So here we have verbs that we've encountered in the first 4 chapters. Amat, set it, leg it, out it. That I think was chapter 4, chapter 1, and I want to say chapter 4 as well. But note they all have that T, which tells us that it's a subject. Not loves, but he, she, or it loves. He, she, or it sits. He, she, or it reads. He, she, or it hears. And so, these endings that we've seen so far are T for he, she, or it, NT for they, and in the last chapter 4, we saw S for the subject, you. Now, we are adding today, and we have up to this point, all of the rest of the subjects. There are 6 total that can exist in language. And they correspond to what we call persons. First person, second person, and third person. First person is the person speaking. If you've ever read a novel in first person, I do this, I do that, and so forth and so on. Second person is the person being spoken to. And the third person is the person being spoken about. Additionally, you can have the singular and the plural. We talk about he does this, he does that, he does the other, she does this. But the plural would be they do this, that, the other. We're talking about them. So these are the endings that you're going to need to know that represent the various different subjects. So we already know S for you, T for he, she, it, and they, NT. Now we're going to include O for I. Sometimes it is an N. And then likewise, over here, I verb, more than one I becomes we verb. And there is the corresponding subject. You verb, more than one you, we live in the South, and thus it becomes y'all verb. Now, real English, it would just be you, but to make the distinction between you, one person are verbing, versus you, many people are verbing, we use y'all. So these are your endings that you need to know. O-S-T, mus, tis, nt. So if I were to take one of these, and let's go ahead and take amat, it would be amo, amas, amat, amamas, amatis, amat. All we're doing is replacing the ending with the various different ones we have here. Now, likewise, in this chapter, we are encountering for the first time a verb that does not have a subject. And the verbs that do not have a subject are going to look like the following. Arre, ere, ere, and ire. If you see that on the end of your verb form, for example, amare, sedere, leggere, and audire, it is what we call infinitives, which literally means verb without an ending, thus verb without a subject. Likewise, if they do have these subjects, they are what we call finite verbs. Finite verbs have these subject endings giving us the subject. Infinitive verbs do not have OST, must, sis, and T. Thus, verb without a subject. How do you express them? To whatever. To love, to sit, to read, to hear, versus I verb, you verb, he verbs, we verb, y'all verb, they verb. That is your first word for the quiz that you input, embedded infinitive. That is the first one. So let's read the passage and see if we can find some infinitives that are here and see how that the infinitive cannot stand on its own. And there's another short video, 5 minutes, that you'll be watching concerning an infinitive. So here we are. Chapter 5, Marcus to the rescue. Cornelia and Flavia often walk. Saipe means often. In the garden. In, and there's no um. So it's in the garden. Si dies escalatus. If, that's what si means, the day is hot, they walk. Do you see that's a finite verb? It has a subject. They walk, they are walking, they do walk. Out of the garden, in plus accusative, into. So whenever you have in plus um, am, or em, it's into the forest, because there is a cold stream. In the same forest, The boys also often wander. That's your second word. Saipe, often. So put that down as your second item. Today, because the day is hot or warm, calidus, the girls are sitting, do sit, enti, they, the girls, finite verb, has a subject, under the tree, near the stream. Prope means near. While they sit there, Flavia says. There's no word for says, but it's implied. Why does Marcus not want? Now, it's not why does Marcus climb. That does mean climb, but remember, this is the infinitive form. It has that E-R-E, and remember, it's either going to have A-R-E, long E-R-E, short E-R-E, or long I-R-E, the infinitive. And so, that infinitive, to verb. Not why does Marcus climb, but why does Marcus not want to climb the trees? Now look at arbores. That has a long ES ending. And if you look over here at our chart, remember that for nouns so far for us, we know that they are either going to be in what we call the nominative form, with those endings, and those endings if it's plural, and the accusative form for those endings, and those endings if it's plural. Look at the third declension. It is the same if it is the nominative, the subject, they do something, versus if it were the direct object, the subject verbs them. Arbores here we know is in the accusative because we already have as a subject and it is the direct object answering whom or what? To climb. To climb what? To climb the trees. Esne poetic novus, the ne on the end of a word indicates that we're asking a question. Real Latin had no punctuation. Is he a cowardly boy? Minime, leastly. Cornelia responds. Why do you not like Marcus? Do you see the S on Amas? It tells me that the subject is you. Do you see again? O-S-T, must, tis, inti. I, you, he, we, y'all, they. S is you. That means what we could do is take out that two, and it would still mean, why do you not like Marcus? But that two is there for emphasis. Why do you not like Marcus? Marcus is neque, neither cowardly nor reckless. To Flavia. Then Flavia says, said Marcus semper solicitus, but Marcus is always worried, always anxious. Now look at sextum, how it is the first word of the sentence, but do we say it first? No. It is accusative. Did you say direct object? You should have. Accusative, direct object. That is our subject. Nothing scares Sextus. Suddenly, they spot a wolf who climbs down to the stream sneakily. Furtum sneakily. Terrified are the girls. The girls, subject, are terrified. All linking verbs are equal sign. Nominative, plural, feminine, nominative, plural, feminine. What's on one side has to be on the other. Immediately they shout, Marcus, Sextus, remember, if the verb, or not verb, if the noun ends with us, and you're talking directly to it, you replace that us with an e. Marcus, Sextus, talking directly to them. Bring help, that is your third word. Ferte, bring, that you need to put down. There will be 4 or 5 of them in this video. The boys, when they hear the shout, ubi can mean where or can mean when. Immediately they run to the girls. The wolf now spots, catches sight of them. Accusative, long OS, do you see it? They receive the action. The wolf is the one doing the action. Nominative, the subject. Accusative, the direct object. Then Sextus, because the wolf terrifies him, he seeks. He looks for a tree. Do you see the tree in the accusative direct object? That is an accusative form. And immediately, statum, he climbs it. Ascended. But Marcus grabs a rippet, he rips a branch, and he drives off the wolf. The girls run out of the forest, and they, safe and sound, salvai, arrive at the country house. Breve tempore, in a short time. When Marcus arrives, again, when or where, Marcus arrives, they, the happy ones, welcome him. Sextus, the cowardly boy, still sits in the tree, terrified. It does not say he climbs down. Instead it says he fears. He is afraid to climb down. Again, the infinitive is going to be not finite. It does not have your subject, I, you, he, we, y'all, they. Those are given to you by your endings, ost, must, hiss, into. So he fears to climb down. And that is your fourth and final item. Descendere, to climb down out of the tree.